Good afternoon, everybody. It is Friday, the 24th of September, 2021. This is Dr. Joel. I'm here live with y'all today. Today's conversation is going to go a little bit into orthotics. Okay, maybe you've all heard of them, maybe you've tried them, maybe um, you have them yourself. I want to talk to you a little bit about the orthotics. Let me first start by talking a little bit about me and my history with foot issues, orthotics, all that fun stuff. So, um, first off, before we get started, if you're watching this live at any point, just type me into the chat. And if you're watching this on the replay or you're clicking this down the road, go ahead and just type in replay. Okay, so first let's talk a little bit about me. Like, my name is Dr. Joel Spring. I specialize in foot issues, and that's mostly because I've had foot issues myself in the past. I've had plantar fasciitis, I've had sprained ankles, I've had a couple surgeries on my ankles for muscle issues. And some of this could have been prevented, some of this I just could have rehabbed it a little bit better. And then now in my career, I've learned some things along the way that really helped my feet, and I just want to share with y'all, okay? So, first off, a long time ago, I was put into orthotics by my doctor, and they were fitted and everything. I had custom orthotics, really expensive products that I had to wear in every pair of shoes that I wore to avoid foot pain, all right? So that was great when I was wearing shoes with orthotics. If I ever had to wear a pair of sandals or like had to be barefoot on a pool or a deck, I was a swimmer for a long time. I didn't get the effects of the orthotics. So I always had to wear shoes, no matter where I was, because that was all orthotics would fit it. Today is a little bit better. There's some sandals and stuff, but for the most part, I couldn't go barefoot anywhere. I always had to have something on my feet just so my orthotics could fit in there. And I know a lot of you struggle with that. So let's first let's go into a little bit of background about the structure of a foot. So here's our little foot guy, right? Your foot's going to sit on there. This is the inside of your foot. So if you look down between your two legs, this would be the inside, okay? Right there where that arch is, right? This is the outside. Big toe right here on this side, little toe on this side. So your foot has an arch, okay? So what that means is that the foot is designed to have this part here where before you get into the toes to be upward, all right? So it should not be sitting on the ground. Now there's changes. We all have different arch heights. Some of us have flatter feet. Some of us have really high arches. But overall, there should be some sort of an arch there, okay? That adds some stability into the foot. And then beneath that arch in particular, on the top too, but beneath that arch, there's a lot of soft tissue structures like muscles. There's a fascia, the plantar fascia. You probably all have heard of that one, or you're here in this group because you have issues with your plantar fascia, right? And then you have muscles coming down from the leg and into the bottom of the foot, coming down the front of the leg into the top of the foot to lift your foot up. So all that plays a role in what orthotics are going to do, all right? So for the most part, if there is an issue in your feet, that orthotic is going to address that issue. In other words, it is going to pick up where your body kind of left off, okay? So if you have arches that sag, you may get something that's an arch support in your orthotic, right? If you have a structure of your foot where this big toe is kind of lifted up a little bit, it may give you some padding at the big toe, so that is more even, okay? So it all depends on the orthotic on what is going on with your feet, right? So not everyone's orthotics are going to be the same, so you can't necessarily, if you have them, use someone else's, okay? Some orthotics are designed to take pressure off of certain areas. If you have some area that's prone to inflammation in here, like the plantar fascia, for instance, that orthotic or arch support will take pressure off of that area, Okay, so this all sounds like a good deal. So let's talk about the orthotics for a little bit. I'm going to put this guy away. Might come back later, so we don't want to lose him. So the purpose of orthotics is to alleviate either pain, numbness, tingling, any of those issues you may have with your feet by correcting the structure. Okay, um, and then we'll get into the structure stuff later. But so the orthotic is going to correct the structure, provide support where it needs to be, put pressure on spots that need pressure, allow you to use the foot in a more natural, I use that in quotes, way. And that natural way is how the body's designed. If you have kids or see any kids running around just starting to walk, their feet do a lot of work when they're starting to do that. You probably hear them coming, right? So we know that it's possible to go around barefoot. All right. Before we go any further, I do want to. Well, I'll address it here in a second. So that orthotic is going to substitute for what your body can do. So a lot of the reasons that we end up needing orthotic is because we wear shoes all the time, or we have a issue with our foot that is not correctable or corrected, right? Both will play a role. So the orthotic is going to do that for you. All right. So now there's two major types of orthotics. The first one is the expensive prescription custom-made orthotics. And when we get into those, what someone's going to do for that is take a cast of your foot in some form or another, maybe a plaster cast of your foot. There's some like foam type things where they can put the foam around your foot, and then they're going to send that off to an orthotic manufacturer that's going to match up your casted foot and put an orthotic that fits that, and then send it out to you. And then you'll try it on, and there'll be some adjustments made to kind of tweak some things. And then the other major kind is an over-the-counter orthotic. You can buy these at most stores. You may have heard of things like Super Feet, right? That's going to be one of those over-the-counter orthotics. And those you're going to trim and just put into your shoes. All right. So those are the two major categories of orthotics. And then now that we have that, let's talk about what orthotics you may or may not need. Okay. So we've addressed kind of some of the issues that orthotics cover. If you need to go back and rewind, if you're joining late, go back towards if just a few minutes ago where we talked about what orthotics are going to do, right? Like they're going to kind of make up for issues with your feet, whether that's help you maintain your arch or put pressure in the right spot or in the wrong spot if your foot is doing that. So they're going to be very individualized. So for most of us, at some point in our life, we did not need an orthotic, right? We were going along just fine. Our feet were just fine, and then one day we woke up, we had foot pain, and all of a sudden we needed orthotics, whether they're over the counter or custom orthotics. All right. So my philosophy is that a majority of us can get back to that, get our feet back to where we don't need orthotics. There's a whole lot that plays a role in that. So it's not just like, no, you don't need orthotics. Yes, you do need orthotics. We have to look at the whole foot, right? Like each individual joint in the foot. Now this is a model and it's all screwed together, right? But each individual joint in this foot, like there's all these bones, right? Needs to have some bit of motion, right? If they're all stuck together, that's going to cause an issue that someone may want to get you an orthotic. But going to see someone that can get your foot moving the way it should, right? These joints should all move. The joints up here should all move. This calcaneus, this one's going to be real tough. Should have some rotation. This one doesn't move on this model. The talus should move nicely in that joint. So when we lose motion in our foot, in those joints, then someone may want to get us orthotics, okay? But that orthotic's not going to give us that motion back. It's just going to make up for that lost motion, okay? So that's one thing that we want to do is get motion. That's why we do some foot mobility drills. We roll that foot out on lacrosse balls or specific tools designed for the foot. The other thing that orthotics are going to do, they're going to make your feet feel comfortable in a shoe. So what we've talked about a bunch is getting toe spacers. So because the foot should look more like this. Like even this one has looked like, even this model looks like he's been stuck in a shoe for a while, right? So we want our toes to be able to be splayed like that. The shoes themselves are going to squish our toes in together, so it looks like a point, right? That's not the natural structure of a foot. Okay, natural structure of a foot is more boxy there at the end. All right. So the because our toes get squished, that orthotic can take some of that pressure off, right? So we can still maybe squeeze into some of those less than comfortable shoes. The other thing that it's going to do, and this is the big one, this is what most people get orthotics for, is it is going to provide that arch support. Okay, so for most of us, we can do some muscle training for the muscles of that arch, so we can walk around barefoot, right? So without any pain or symptoms in our foot. All right, and relieve that pressure on the plantar fascia. If you watch some of my other information, you have heard me talk about how like the lack of the muscles here takes that bony structure, so it doesn't hold up that arch, and that arch collapses, and then all that pressure goes through that plantar fascia. All right, so now almost all, unless you have some congenital issue with your foot where it's just like stuck, or you've had to have a surgery because of an injury of some sort where some bones are fused together, most of us probably don't need any long-term orthotic solutions, and that means that most of us don't need to get those custom orthotics. What we may need, and I do this from time to time, is get an over-the-counter or insert to relieve some of the pressure temporarily while we do the things that we need to do to get that foot function back to regular. So doing our exercises and stretches for our foot so things can loosen up, get back to regular, so we don't need that orthotic. It's a much cheaper option doing an over-the-counter orthotic. Like we're talking $40 as opposed to $300. But it should be a temporary fix, right? Now, it should help you get through to where you don't need it anymore, which is why I highly recommend, if you do feel like you need an orthotic, going with something cheaper so you can get back to being able to walk around barefoot, okay? Even as we age, we should be able to still walk around barefoot from time to time. Maybe not all the time, although I highly recommend it. But maybe today you can't even take your shoes off, right? Because of that foot pain. Well, that means we need to do something about it, right? And to get through tomorrow and the weekend, you may need to go get an over-the-counter orthotic until you can start attacking that foot pain and getting those muscles of the foot stronger to support that arch, getting those joints of the foot moving so that foot can be nice and we call it supple but mobile, so you can take the pressure of the ground and the foot can move how it's designed to. All right, some of us may even, because we've been sitting so long, and that's not your fault, that's just the society we grow up in. We've been sitting so long, things just don't move the right way. At least for me, they start sitting you down when you're in kindergarten and they're sitting all day through adulthood, right? Like there's no encouragement of getting up and moving around throughout the day because of having to learn things, having to work and all that stuff. So the more you can start getting your feet moving and your body moving, the less likely you're going to need a full-time orthotic. All right, so that's why I suggest if you get a temporary one and then work on your feet to get them better so that you won't need that orthotic and you can go to the beach. You can walk around your house barefoot, right? It won't hurt to walk around a pool deck when you get out of the pool before you can get your sandals back on. All right, so that is my talk for today. If you have any questions at any point, I should have said this earlier, please drop it in the comments, okay? I want to answer your questions. I want to give you the information that you need about orthotics and whether you need them or if there's things we can do to avoid needing them or to get you through this time with your foot pain. All right, I really want to help you all out. So please comment below, ask anything you want. Reach out to me on DM if you have to. And I hope you guys found some value in this. If you found this helpful at all or want more information, please just say so in the comments. All right. I love doing this for you guys. Thanks for watching. Happy Friday, and I hope you all have a great weekend. All right. Talk to you later. See you next week.